was the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that the podcast would soon would be there. Hello and welcome to our Christmas episode of the HLTB podcast. I'm your host Paula, joined today, as always, by none other than Josh / Avatar.
What's up, everybody?
So yeah, we're kind of festive today because this is like the second to last episode before the end of the year, and we decided to celebrate by not only talking the usual playing and completed games. We have not yet retired anything, but also talking about Christmas / holiday gaming. So either games you played during special holidays, mainly Christmas, but we've chosen to extend the love to other holidays as well, or how they may be represented in some games.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, we're finishing this episode off with, I think, the second to last iteration / round of Guess the Games. So buckle up. This might be a long one or shorter one. We don't know yet. But yeah, today only Josh has beaten a couple of games. One of them is a big one. So let's start with that.
Yeah, I finally finished Assassin's Creed Mirage, which I've talked about a lot, but I like it. Except I gotta say I'm a little bit disappointed.
Ooh.
Because I really enjoy overall as a shift in the Assassin's Creed franchise. Like I've said before, I really like the changes they've made and how they've kind of taken it back to the old school way of Assassin's Creed. Way more focus on stealth and assassinations and planning and all that kind of stuff. That's all great. And that's the moment-to-moment gameplay, which is really good and I really liked. And it was the same from start to finish, just excellent. But then I got to the ending and the story ending was just not good. First of all, the first thing I did when the credits started rolling was I Googled Assassin's Creed Mirage ending explained. Because
that is not a good thing.
Well, and I'm all for like an ambiguous, abstract ending. Like I don't need it all spelled out for me. But this one, I was like, I have no idea what the hell just happened. And it made absolutely no sense to me at all. So I Googled it and I found a nice article which broke everything down because they also said, yeah, it could be a bit confusing. And the best I can gather is that because the character you play, which is the character Basim, Assassin's Creed Mirage is set before the events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla because Basim is in Valhalla as an NPC.
Mm-hmm.
And that is quite important, apparently, to the story end of Mirage. I don't want to spoil anything because it's a new game. Maybe one day we'll talk about it with spoilers if we really feel the need. But essentially there are aspects to who Basim is in the Assassin's Creed timeline that I was not aware of, even though I've played Valhalla, but I haven't played the Valhalla DLC, which apparently has a lot of lore related to Basim and who he represents in the history of things in that DLC. And it seems like if you had played that DLC, the ending of Mirage would make a lot more sense because you'd have a whole lot more information. And I kind of hate that kind of thing.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm all for things tying in together and relating to other things and all that kind of stuff. That's great. But I do think a thing should stand on its own as well.
Yeah.
Unless it's an obvious like Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed 3. Like if they're direct sequels, I can understand how there's probably a lot of assumed knowledge or whatever. But when it is just most Assassin's Creed games don't flow into each other a lot. Like the first ones had the kind of meta story of the modern day element that tied them together.
Mm-hmm.
Right up to, Assassin's Creed 4 even and further. But they kind of dropped it after a while. And they only kind of used it as a very tokenistic kind of way of justifying the fact that you are doing the things you're doing in the way that you're doing. Like, it's kind of, I like the whole meta thing of Assassin's Creed, like the whole idea of the fact that you're a person in modern times who's tapping into some latent memories of your ancestors and through a machine, and that's why it's very gamey, because you're essentially going through a computer and it's a simulation. So it kind of, you know,
That's cool.
happily kind of justifies all the video game parts, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So, and I've always liked that. I think it's nice to have some sort of justification for all the, you know, video gamey shit. But that's all cool. That's fine. But in Mirage, they didn't do any of that. They do have some references to stuff like, this isn't spoilers because it's throughout the whole series, but they had some references to like the precursor civilization, who are the people who existed before what we know as humans, which is kind of the whole point of the series. But then they go a bit wild, and they've done this thing where, and it kind of ties into Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla, where they justify mythology by essentially saying that like modern day humans based our myths on the precursor society. So they're kind of like, they're not actually myths, they're real things or real people who have then had myths created about them. So it's a weird kind of trying to shoehorn in the whole, you know, like Norse mythology from Valhalla and stuff, and or the Greek mythology from Odyssey. And it kind of comes into play with Mirage right at the end. But it kind of felt like, for me as a player who was just playing through Mirage happily and not really looking too much into it, it just kind of came out of left field, and I got to the very end of the very last thing you do, and then you just get basically an elongated cutscene which tries to tell you so much and justify so much and add so much to the story that it's kind of like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
and disappointing. So, you know, I don't want to bag it too much because the rest of the game was great. The actual gameplay was fantastic, but just the way they decided to tie up the story, I thought was just a bit, I don't know. I can't decide between whether they were trying too hard to make it cool or they were just being a bit lazy and not putting in heaps of effort.
Both is good.
It could be either. And the other thing that's kind of annoying me at this very second is I've finished it. I've, you know, hit credits, all that kind of thing. But I have 2 trophies left before I can get my platinum. And they're very simple things. One of them is a trophy that I later found out was missable. It's the only missable trophy in the entire game. So I recommend to anyone who's playing this game, if you want to get all your trophies or achievements, there's one that basically you have to do before you complete all the extra stuff on the map. Because you've essentially got to, without spoiling anything, you've essentially got to pickpocket some specific NPCs who, if you've did what I did and just went and completed all the side stuff, by the time you realize that you're meant to pickpocket them, you've already gone and killed them and they don't exist anymore.
Oh.
So basically have to restart the game, play it for a while until you unlock a certain skill, and then I'll be able to get that trophy. The other trophy that I'm missing, which I've been trying to get this afternoon, is a simple one of just assassinating 10 guards while you're hidden in a crowd of people, but it's bugged. So again, you kind of have to restart your game, because if you've made any modifications to your character, it seems it bugs out that trophy for some reason and you don't get it even if you manage to do it. So I don't know why, but I Googled it and apparently that's the answer. That's the workaround, is to basically go back to a point where you've got no skills unlocked, you've got no weapons or armor unlocked. You just go from your base, everything, and do it then, and apparently it works. One day when I'm bored, I'm going to do that probably and just see if I can speed run my way through the first part of the game again and unlock those 2 trophies just to ding that platinum, because I managed to get everything else. So, but with all that, I do think it was a great game. It's a good path forward for Assassin's Creed. I'm looking forward to, basically, it's kind of like they brought it way back with this one compared to Valhalla. So I'm kind of wondering where they're going to go next time, if they might find like a happy medium or they might stick with the same formula, or I don't know. But I'm looking forward to the next one because I feel like it's got potential to be even better, I guess.
Mm-hmm. If they don't botch this.
Yeah, the story was... Well, see, in the Assassin's Creed world, there are a very vocal amount of fans who hate all the modern day stuff, and they hate all the animus stuff, like justifying why you're in a video game, and they just don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Whereas I really like it. That kind of thing really appeals to me because it, like I say, it justifies everything. It makes it an interesting story. Like, I actually like the story of the first few games, even though a lot of people hate them. But yeah, I think it's nice to have that extra layer rather than just we're running around in a city killing people. It's nice to have some sort of meta kind of thing going on where it's like, oh no, there's actually this whole thing happening, and that's why people care about what they're doing, like why the Templars exist and why the Assassins exist and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's really cool. So I'm kind of disappointed that they paid lip service to it but didn't really take it anywhere, and just kind of gave me this cutscene at the end which seemed to come out of nowhere and just claim all this stuff, and then they're like, and you're done. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like I'm not really like into the more modern Assassin's Creed. I've watched my boyfriend play through one, and I think he was playing through two as well. And I found like the whole anima thing like fascinating.
Yeah.
And also like the way that you have to be stealthy and like find your way around stuff and stuff like that. It is even very entertaining to watch. So I'm kind of like curious about that ending of Mirage. So I might just want to look at a playthrough, like look at the cutscenes and stuff to see what the hell make that bitter face at the beginning.
Well, I think as well, if you are going to do all that, I'd say, yeah, go for it. But do the previous games as well, like, because it does kind of fit with, especially the last three games, it's trying to continue that narrative. But
that's kind of interesting.
One of the problems I had with the previous games, especially Valhalla, because they were so big and there was so much to do, and you spent so much time just doing other stuff, the actual main story was a minimal part of the whole game. So by the time I'd finished, I wasn't quite sure what the point of the whole story was, because I'd spent 90% of the game doing other things.
Yeah.
Whereas, especially the first game, most of everything you do is in line with the main story and the main point of everything, and so on and so forth. With the rest of the games, there's always that element of you're trying to still do the main thing. So yeah, I think that's part of the reason I didn't like the longer ones as much, because they were way more just meandering and sandboxy, which is cool in its own way, but you know, if you actually like the Assassin's Creed stories, it's a bit shit. So so yeah, Mirage was great. I probably still would have scored it a bit higher than I think it got like a 7.5 or something on average. I'd probably give it like an 8 or something. Not that I tend to rate things, but I still do like Assassin's Creeds, and that's what I mean. The typical gameplay loop of the game, the stuff you're doing more often than anything else, is still really good and still really enjoyable, and definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of those earlier Assassin's Creed games. So yeah, that's my big finish for this week. There's another one which I kind of finished a while ago, but I actually decided to say that I've finished it now because it's a co-op game called We Need to Go Deeper. And this is a game that I played with a friend of mine on and off for probably about 6 months, but we haven't played it for a while, so I kind of thought, hey, we're probably done with it now. But essentially, it's a game where it's 100% co-op. You need to be in co-op, otherwise you're not going to be able to play it. And you are in a submarine, and you have to work together to pilot your submarine deeper and deeper into the depths of this underwater environment that you're going through. So there are two views. There's like the outside of the submarine and the inside of the submarine. And when on the outside, you can obviously see where the submarine's going. And so if you're the pilot, if you're driving the thing, you can drive it and see where you're going. But on the inside, then you've got someone else who's like controlling the weapons and changing the distribution of power, because you can send more power to guns or to engines or to shields or whatever. And when you get attacked and things by monsters, as you do, you get holes in your submarine and it starts flooding. So one of you or both of you have to go repair all the holes while you're going. And yeah, so it's a real working together kind of thing, because you probably could manage to do it on your own, but it would be very, very difficult.
Yeah, I imagine.
Even just down to sometimes when you're getting attacked by some big nasty dudes, you end up with one person just shooting and the other one running around inside just patching holes and fixing the ship while you're getting attacked. So it can get a bit frantic, especially in later levels.
I also imagine that if you have like a fear of the deep sea or something like that, this would not be the game for you, because of that feeling of the possibility of drowning, I guess, and things attacking you and shit like that.
Yeah, so I think it's called like thalassophobia is something that I experience, which is the fear of open water. Like Subnautica brings it out of me when you are deep underwater, but all you can see is open water. Like there's no ground, there's nothing. It's just big, open, vast space. That scares the shit out of me. But in this game, it's not so much that. Yeah, the drowning thing I could see being a thing, but it's very cartoony and it's a 2D game as well. So it's not as frightening in that sense. And there's lots of stuff around all the time. Like you're navigating through caves and things, and there's animals or like sharks or whales and stuff attacking you as you go down, and then creepier things the further down you get. And along the way, you do things like you can find caves. So you kind of park yourself next to a cave and get out and go explore the cave in like a 2D platformy kind of way. And in the caves, you can find enemies, and there might be like giant crabs or something who come and attack you, but you can also find treasure. So it's a bit of a roguelike as well. So every run you do, you gather treasure and money and stuff. And then at the end of the run, you can unlock things for your next run. And so it might be, maybe you decide that, oh, I'm going to be the guy who repairs everything. So you unlock a really good wrench, which helps you repair things quicker.
Oh, I'm just looking at the page right now, and I see you can play like up to 4 players on this one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that makes things a lot easier, and the style is so fucking cartoony. I love it.
And yeah, it's good fun because even it's kind of, the graphics are kind of cartoony and silly enough to make it kind of a bit silly, especially when you're all stressed and running around. And depending on, you can customize your character and stuff. So like my friend who I was playing with, their character had like big goggles and a nappy, and that's what they were wearing the whole time. Whereas my character had like an eggplant, like an aubergine on his head, and like some sort of just raggedy clothes. So you look wacky anyway, and it is quite silly. But the general progression is you work your way down until you hit a boss, and then you fight the boss, and you get to a new level, and you work your way down until you hit a boss, and so on and so forth. And each level you go through has different conditions. So as you get further down, you might hit a level which is all dark. So you have a headlight on your submarine that you can aim and power, but it takes power to use. So power distribution is a big thing, because often it's a balance between shields and other stuff, because obviously the higher shields you've got, the more hits you can take. But if you don't have lights or anything, you can't see where you're going. So, you know, you're going to need those. And if you don't have weapons, you can't shoot people, and, you know, so on and so forth. But there's other things you can find as well. Like there's other caves with, say, weird monster alien civilizations living in them. And you can kind of rock up and say hi, and often they'll trade goods with you and stuff. So if you have enough money, you might be able to buy like engine upgrades, so that you've got another amount of power that you can use, or a weapon upgrade that makes it fire a lot quicker or something, or even change your weapon. Like you can change it from like a shotgun, or from like a pistol to a shotgun kind of weapon. And yeah, but the fun thing is you can, if you want to, you can just kind of steal everything and kill everyone, and then leave. It's a lot harder, but it's a lot more fun.
So you can go through the diplomatic route or the first diplomatic route, I guess.
Yeah, the I have no money and I want all your stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a fun game. It's definitely it's a good co-op game because it really does bring out that good co-op experience that you want when you're playing with friends, because it can get quite stressful at times and you can get quite angry with each other. But when it's all jamming together as well and you're all working together really well, it's actually really fun. You feel like you're really succeeding a lot. And yeah, it's a good one to play, and I'd definitely check it out if there's, if it looks appealing, I guess. And it might not be the kind of game that's for everyone, but if I'm honest, it's not really the kind of game that I would necessarily have picked up. But because my friend's like, hey, we should play this, I'm like, yeah, right. It was pretty cheap, and playing stuff with friends is always more fun than not, I think, anyway. So yeah, that was We Need to Go Deeper. We spent probably about 8 hours all up, I think, in the game playing co-op, and we got pretty far. There is actually an end point which we didn't hit. We got maybe like 2/3 of the way, which is quite an achievement. Took us a long time to get that far, but then we kind of fizzled out and we've been playing other things since, so I don't think we're going to go back to it. But that's the nature of a roguelike as well. Like, sometimes you want to put hundreds of hours in, other times it's just, I've had enough and I know what this is about, so I'm done. But yeah, that's all from me for what I've beaten. Just a couple games this week. And yeah, as Paula said at the top, we haven't retired anything. So, Paula, tell us what you've been playing.
Okay, so I haven't been playing like a whole lot of each game, but I made sure to bring a little bit of variety, whatever that means. So I continued playing Had a Full Boyfriend. So I got the other ending from Okasan. That was like a lot more toned down, and it is pretty much the short version of the other ending I got.
Cool.
I also went through Choose Route, choosing the... I don't even remember the name of the bird. I think it was a bot protect. I don't know. But he's like the weird, creepy doctor that takes care of the infirmary, and it's supposed to take care of students that go there.
Mm-hmm.
He's creepy. I don't like him. I still got his route, and holy crap, that was messed up. The other game that I've been playing is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finally at the point of the second case where I'm allowed to move around more or less freely and start looking for clues on the stuff. And I have to say, this case in particular may have the most narcissistic characters out there. And it's actually like pretty funny, especially when he presents himself. Like, how most character names are kind of like pants. This one is a pancho, and it is like pretty good, so I wouldn't spoil it for anyone. So that's that. I also found myself a defendant to defend on the case. And I really don't remember much about this case in particular, so it's gonna be interesting. Like, I roughly remember who the culprit is, and that's about it. I have no recollection of what methods they used to do the deed.
I was going to ask, because you've played this before, how much do you remember, or how much are you still trying to figure out?
Okay, so in general, for this game in particular, I do remember, I guess, 3 of the cases with varying amounts of actual remembering what the hell I was supposed to do. But I do remember the overall outline of the thing, and the final case where I do remember quite a lot more from it because of how unique it is. Let's give it at that.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I'm just happy to revisit this thing because of how you can see like the clues at the very beginning of the game of the things that are about to happen, or like the things that happened in the past. So in that way, I feel like this is one of those games that should you want to revisit at a later date, like after finishing it, it is worth the trip. Especially if you have like the or context of the not only like this game but in most were investigations games.
Cool.
But yeah, like it is really fun to see like how all the pieces that you kind of ignored on your first playthrough start falling together like in place. So that being said, I'm pretty excited about revisiting, first of all, the Miles Edgeworth Investigations games in a later date, but also the other Eastern trilogy that starts with Apollo Justice. And I'm particularly giddy about getting to Dual Destinies because I feel like that's one like my favorite game of in the franchise because I fucking love Athena so fucking much. She's
Awesome.
the funniest and most lovable protagonist, and no one is gonna tell me that she's not. Well, maybe Edward, but he's like as much funny as he is like cute to look at the release. But Athena, best protagonist. I love her so much. We stand her. So yeah.
Fantastic.
So the final game that I've been playing, and this is gonna probably tie in with our later topic, is God Realized Wintertime Miracles on the PS Vita. So I have to explain a little bit because I think I haven't talked about God Realized with you yet. And in case people are just tuning in on season 3 and haven't heard about season 2, or like they're like, hey, there's like so many fucking episodes, I'm just tuning in for season 3. But anyway, so the God Realized franchise consists of, or like series, I guess, consists of 3 games right now, as of December of 2023. So the first one being Guardian of Rebirth. It is like the base game and the one you should play first if you're ever gonna play the series, because it is the main story of the game. So you play as Cardia Beckford, and she is kind of like this girl that has like no memories past, like from past 2 years before awakening. Like she awoke in this mansion, and she's been instructed to kind of like stay at that mansion because of some special circumstances. Mainly that her body has like this kind of like poison slash acid that usually melts whatever comes into contact with it. And like everything that she wears has like a special like anti-acid thing, so things don't melt, like, and she can like sort of live a normal age life. Like she can touch things as long as she wears gloves. So yeah. So it's been 2 years since she's woken up. She doesn't remember anything prior to that, and since she's been kind of sheltered, she doesn't have. I'm gonna say she doesn't have like common sense in most situations, especially like social ones. Like she's read the books in the mansion, she knows like basic etiquette, but it's like, oh, not sure what to do about this situation in particular. So she's labeled as a monster by the people living like close to her home, and she's pretty much believed that she's just a monster, and she's not sure why her body is like this. Up until one day, the royal guard kind of like seeks her out, and this character called Arsenal Lupin like just steals her away from the royal guard, and then the adventures began. Because you don't only meet like the gentleman thief Arsenal Lupin, you also meet other characters based on literature, such as Impy Barricane, which is a kind of like a genius engineer. Victor Frankenstein, which is who is an alchemist and has studied in both alchemy and medicine fields. Van Helsing, who is supposed to be a hero after the Vampire War a few years prior to the game. And you also meet Saint Germain, who is a very mysterious figure, to say the least, who is based off the legends around the real Saint Germain character that we have going on, like in history. There's also like set characters based on Sherlock Holmes, Queen Victoria, and Isaac Beckford, that has like some similarities with Frankenstein, I guess, because he's called like the modern age Prometheus, which is Frankenstein's actual nickname in Mary Shelley's book. So yeah, if you're a fan of that kind of literature and you want to see like all the Easter eggs and do analysis and stuff like that, which is one of my projects that I was supposed to be making now that I think about it, you'll probably enjoy this one. It is set on a Victorian era with a steampunk setting, and the overall mission of this group of misfits is like they work together to find Isaac Beckford, and in the way they try to solve their own issues that are either loosely or like very tightly connected to this Isaac Beckford character. As well as in some routes, like they work on Cardia's poisonous body and stuff like that.
Cool.
So they try to make her live like a normal life. That's the overall gist of Kill Realize. We have Future Blessings, which is like the first fan disc of the game. It has, if I remember correctly, a story that's supposed to take place like after the end of the common route and before you pick any of the character routes, where you get entangled with Mafia, and Cardia makes a friend called Chili, who is like the only daughter of the Mafia boss, Gordon. And you also have like 2 extra routes in the game. One for the Sherlock Holmes character and one for Phineas, that is more like a familial brother-sister relationship in a way. And you have a sequel for one of the each 5 main routes from the first game. And you have like a lot of stuff. But the one that I'm playing is Wintertime Miracles, which not only has like an extra story centered around Cantarella, who is a songstress, and also a future friend of Cardia, now that I think about it. You also have like the continuation for both Phineas and Sherlock Holmes route, as well as 5 what-if scenarios that are centered around Christmas. So I told you this will become relevant later.
Yeah.
So these scenarios are like after Guardia kind of like rescues Phineas from stuff, and they live together as siblings. So canonically, in this route, like Guardia didn't end up with any of the love interest of the game. So you have like a very special like Christmas date thing going on with each of the 5 characters. Like, and then you have the other content in the game that are the triangle dates. I think there are, I want to say 15 of them, but I'm not sure. Or is it 10? I think it's 15 of them. So you have like really cute scenarios with each the combination of pairs, I guess, of the other love interest.
Mhm.
And that is just literally just fluff that uh, you, you you just play it because it is cute. It doesn't affect the story in any way. It is just sugar directly being, I guess, injected into your blood.
Nice.
And after you play all that, you get like the happily ever after endings for the main 5. And if you play the Switch version, you also get like a little beach scenario, because I don't know whose idea was this. Like, it is a Christmas game, a winter game. Who the fuck thought it was a good idea to include like the beach scenarios that are summer things? Still, I'm still very happy with that extra content, but yeah. So yeah, with the Joy Miracles, I started playing like I usually start by either playing the jungle raids to get them out of the way, and just because I like cute stuff, or with Cantarella story. But this time around, as we're like close to Christmas, I decided to start with the Christmas scenarios, and I'm playing through Fran's route now. By the way, Fran is like Victor Frankenstein's nickname in the game.
Oh, cool.
And the other thing is that if you know me, either like from Discord, Twitter, or How Long to Beat, you know I'm actually like he's like my favorite Otome character like ever. Because I have profile pictures of Fran in all those 3 things. And it's been that way for a long time. And I always, and this is like the game series like people usually know me for, because it's the one that I try to fit to people saying like, hey, I want to play an Otome game, or like, have you heard about Code Realize, good sir or good lady?
Let's talk. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that like, well, Fran's route is more on the tone of like a fake date slash like pretend to be dating kind of thing, turn into a real relationship at the end.
Okay.
Which, in my opinion, it is done like really well, because I don't usually like care for that scenario, even though I just play this year game entirely based around pretend dating. But do not let that bother you. So yeah, this route, like I've only like an hour in, and it's already like quite funny and fluffy. And if I remember correctly, I'm gonna be a very happy camper at the end of this.
Awesome.
So yeah, enough about my deranged musings about Otome games and Good Realize and other things good. What have you been playing? I see. Well, I actually Discord actually like I guess accused you of playing one particular game there, which I noticed like last night.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything turned off. Like, it's easy to see what I'm playing.
Yep.
But I first of all though, funny story. I played D&D with a bunch of friends from around the world, and last night before recording this, we were meant to play, but some of us got our times mixed up, so we didn't end up playing D&D. But a few of us were there to play D&D. So instead, we kind of went, hey, let's play a game together. And the other guys are really into Stellaris, and I have Stellaris, but I've never played it. So I'm like, yeah, sure, let's play that. And it was actually really good because, well, first of all, it's a Paradox grand strategy game. So if, much like Crusader Kings or Europa Universalis or those sorts of games where they're super in-depth, they're super complicated, it's like it makes it makes Civilization look like a baby's game kind of thing.
Okay.
And Stellaris is the space version of that. So essentially, you start the game in a galaxy, and you've got a race or a empire of alien people / beings, and you start off with one system, so a star and some planets that you control, and you explore and spread out and start controlling other systems. And very much like Civilization, it's a case of diplomacy with other people that you meet, or other races you meet, rather. There's like intergalactic government stuff you have to manage. You've got to grow your colonies, and you've got to mine resources and make money, and you can trade things on markets, and it's all that good stuff that you would kind of expect from that kind of game, except with it being so complex, and I'd never played it before.
Oh.
And the other guys are like experts at it, so I didn't expect to get very far anyway, so that's fine. But it was a great introduction, actually, to do it this way, because it was really good to have basically some people playing with me who could say, yeah, do this first and do that, and don't worry about that right now, you can figure that out later, or yeah, just focus on this stuff at the beginning and forget all the other crap, and kind of just help me out with different things. So I feel like I've had my tutorial now. So we played for
Nice.
played for 4 hours all up in one game, which I still don't know a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that I do know now. I feel like I'm confident enough now that I could probably go and start a single player campaign and start actually learning the game, because there's so much to it that I can't, unless you played a Paradox Grand Strategy, it's really hard to express just how complex it can be. Even down to the fact that you have individual leaders and stuff that you assign to jobs and roles in your government, and they develop different skills just of their own. But they have a lifespan, and they'll eventually either get kicked out or die. And depending on if they have a successor or not with certain skills, it depends how then that will change your entire empire, because you've got a new leader coming in. And that's just like one little thing. Like even down to there's like a whole system for claiming planets and stuff before you've actually colonized them. So you can kind of claim someone else's land, essentially, and then go in and attack it and be like, yeah, see, I told you it was mine. And but then you can like build fleets of spaceships, which are your army kind of thing. But then each of your ships can have modules on them to customize them and enhance them. But you've got to research and unlock those modules. And yeah, you can get right down to like the nitty gritty of everything. Or thankfully for me, as the new player, there were some options where you can just automate stuff. So rather than every single colony that every single planet that I colonized, rather than micromanaging every single one of them, I just set it on like automatic building and stuff. So it just kind of took care of it for me, and I just had to look at my empire as a whole as opposed to each little piece. The downside to that was that I had I mean, the big thing I've heard about these games, especially like Crusader Kings and that, is just you're not playing them to win, you're playing them for fun stories, because the idea then is you play it again and see if you can do better or see what happens next time, because there's a lot of randomization and there's a lot of random events and things that happen, and it can really affect how well you do or how well you don't do. So unfortunately, when we started the game, I was nowhere near where my friends were, even though we were trying to kind of hoping that I would be, because then, they could protect me in a way and we could be allies. So it was even to the point they had no way of getting to me by the time they found out where I was, because of just where we were on the map. So, but I'll tell you the story of the downfall of my empire. So I forget actually what my race was called, but I had a kingdom of, I think they were called like Yangrims or something, but they're basically bird people with like beaks and feathers and everything, and they look pretty cool. And we, explored the galaxy around us, and my first settlement was on a system next to my home system, and it was on a planet that was the very first planet I colonized, and it was like protected because there was no way to get to that planet except through my main system. So it was defended, and I had heaps of resources and everything to support it and all that kind of thing. But as the game went on, it turns out that there's a a random event that can happen where your colonists find some like trippy mushrooms and start getting into drugs. And the crime level on your colony just goes straight up. And it's like the center of organized crime in the entire galaxy. So then I'm trying to get a control of that by, instituting heavier penalties for things and more of a authoritarian kind of state to try and get a handle of this drug problem and all the crime that was happening on this planet, because it was getting out of control and the whole place was, kept rioting and stuff. So I had to try and there's a stability, like a political stability element to each of your colonies. So if they go completely unstable, they may turn against you. But eventually I got the drugs under control. That was fine. I implemented programs and things to help that, and I, gave them all good resources and stuff that they could utilize and be happy and, have good jobs and all that kind of thing. But then I forget what happened next, but basically they got into slave trading or something. And again, the crime rate went...
Wrong with them?
The crime just went straight up again. And they had heaps of infighting and stuff. And eventually, after about 4 hours of playing my game, and I'm expanding my empire the whole time. This is just my first colony, just continuing on to be a shit fest. But eventually, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, I've got myself set up. I've expanded as much as I can because I've hit other people's borders. And I've got a decent kind of fleet of my army, which is just there to defend. But way back in my empire, back home where this original colony was, they decide, nah, we've had enough. It's been too much. We're going to actually turn against you and become an independent state and attack you. And as my friends told me, that when that happens in the game, basically when that colony becomes an enemy and stops being part of your empire, they gain the strength of your army as a way of kind of being an actual threat. So they came and attacked my homeworld with an army that was basically the same size as my own, but my guys were elsewhere. And so began the downfall of my entire empire. And eventually I was just, everything's just falling down one by one and everything's crumbling. And then other AI kind of empires start going, oh, let's be opportunistic and attack you as well. So then I'm getting attacked. And then my friends are trying to send me all their resources so I can build more ships and things. But my money's in the negative and everything's in the negative and no one's happy. All because of these freaking original colonists who were never happy and never seemed to settle in properly. I colonized plenty of other planets and they were all fine. But this first one just never worked. And eventually, it was my downfall. And they were all hopped up on mushrooms and just really into crime. So there wasn't much I could do about it. And that was the end of my game.
In a way, it's like you kicked all the bad people out of your empire early on, and then they decided to continue doing their nasty things and eventually become strong enough to just overthrow you out of spite.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I did not succeed at all. But again, I don't expect to in my first game of Stellaris. And I enjoyed the fact that that's what happened because, hey, it was something exciting anyway. And especially because, when we were playing, we didn't want to play for a full game anyway. So after about 4 hours, I was kaput and I was like, yep, I'm done. I'm out of here. But I'm keen to try it again. It's very, very cool. I definitely can see the appeal of those games. It's like it is like Civilization or like RTS just to the nth degree, like just taken to the extreme, where every little thing is simulated and every little thing matters. And there's such a huge emphasis on balancing everything in your entire wide, complex empire. And it's very satisfying when you've got it working and it's all pumping and everything. And it's also kind of fun when it all falls apart and just, you get taken over by stoned people. So that was my first experience with Stellaris. And it was a good one, I think, overall. I definitely got sold on the game and I definitely was convinced of why it's fun to play. So I'll be playing more of that, but I think that's one of those games that could be a long time playing and I can see hundreds of hours going into it over long periods of time. So I don't think that'll be one that's finished anytime soon. Unlike, I started playing Rusty Lake Roots, which is the next Rusty Lake game on my journey through the Rusty Lake games. And so far, I haven't finished it because it's actually it seems quite long compared to the others.
Yeah.
It seems like another kind of order of magnitude longer than the other standalone Rusty Lake games that I've played. And it seems way more detailed as well. Like there's a lot more to it. And it changes things up as well for the first time, which is kind of interesting. Because up until now, most of the games are all just, you're in a room with 4 walls and you can kind of turn to look at different parts of the room and then interact with things in the room. And that's about it, which is cool. It's still really good. But this one, you can actually click and drag and kind of dynamically move around the room or wherever you are. You might be outside in a garden sometimes, or you might be, in a room somewhere, or you might be looking through a window with binoculars and you're zooming around. Like, it's way more dynamic in that sense and feels like it's more complex and, not as rigid as a result. Like, it's much more fluid and just flowing instead of a whole lot of still frames. It feels like an actual continual piece, for want of a better word. Not that the others were bad, that's what I mean. Like, there's nothing wrong with the previous type of Rusty Lake games, but this one feels different because of how fluid it is and how you can kind of click and drag things and things move around a lot more instead of just being, still framed kind of sprites. Plus, it's the premise of it that I can figure out so far. I don't know how far into it I am, but I've basically played through 6 or 7 stories, quote unquote, because it's based around like a family tree, at least is what I can figure. And you play through each person or moment on the family tree. So each time you finish a quote unquote level, you go back to the family tree and it grows a bit and you get another level to choose from, which is like where you'd have the picture of a person or something. And you click on it and you go in and you play that moment in time, and it gives you like a year and all this kind of stuff. And for the lore, it's actually pretty cool because there's a few things that have happened already which tie directly into previous games that I've played. So that's fun. There's one puzzle in particular which I got a real kick out of because this isn't too much of a spoiler, but there's a part where you're looking through a window at the hotel that you play in Rusty Lake Hotel.
Rusty Lake Hotel, yeah.
And you can see some of the characters who are in Rusty Lake Hotel, and that ties into a puzzle in this game, which is just cool. Again, I like things that kind of relate into stuff and intertwine things in together. But unlike, say, what I was complaining about with Mirage and stuff, you don't have to have played the previous ones to enjoy this, but it just helps.
Yeah, like I remember playing this one. Like I first played all the Rusty Lake games, and then I played the Keepscape games.
Okay.
And I did realize that there seemed to be like some crossover. Like when I was playing the Keepscape games, I was like, that is familiar out of somewhere. But I do wonder like how my experience would change if I play it like in the, I guess, intended order.
Well, even down to the fact that I'm playing them all pretty much right after one another as well. So I haven't been waiting for the next one to release or anything. So the previous games are still pretty fresh in my head because I've just finished them before playing this one. So I think that would change how you experience it as well because, especially in the last couple of Cube Escape games, they were like direct sequels, quote, for want of a better word, because I know they're not, but they felt like direct sequels to Rusty Lake Hotel just because of parts of the story that are in there, which I don't want to give away. So, but this one, Rusty Lake Roots, it's really interesting. Obviously, it's roots as in like, history of a family or the Rusty Lake environment or world, I guess is the right word. And yeah, I'm interested to see how it's going to develop. It's still just as fucked up and weird in places. And which is good because that's what I want more of, basically. That's what's keeping me hooked on Rusty Lake is the bizarreness of some of it and the surreal thinking that goes behind it. But that's the stuff that's really exciting and fun. So yeah, I'm always looking forward to more of that. There's some really good, I found some parts quite funny because they were so ridiculously, almost gratuitously disgusting, and things that you just wouldn't see elsewhere. Like, yeah, let's just say there's a whole like birthing scene that I thought was hilarious and fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's a puzzle associated with that, which was also funny.
I think we should probably like do a spoiler cast on the Gipscape series at some point in time.
I would be down.
I do
for
want
that.
to replay them all in the order because
Yeah.
I really want to see like how my perspective changes in those.
Yeah. Well, and I'm usually not one to bother with what order should I play things in and all that kind of stuff. Like, I tend to just play things in release order, no matter what it's meant to be like. So this is kind of a new thing for me as well, to follow some other kind of order than just when they were released. But it's actually paying off quite well, and I'm enjoying it because it's helping me kind of tie in those things that relate to every other game and all that kind of stuff. And throughout the whole Rusty Lake series, like, there's repeated characters and even puzzles and motifs, for want of a better word, that really tie them all together really well. And like, I love certain characters now, like Mr. Crow. I love it when he shows up. And yeah, and when certain things happen, like, and there's more than a couple of times now where I've traveled through people's bodies to find stuff. And
those are creepy.
I love that sort of stuff. That just, yeah. When I'm playing and I get something like that, I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm here for. Because it's just so creative and original and unique that, yeah, I'm still looking forward to getting through the rest of them. I'm sure I'll finish off Roots pretty soon because after I started, I kind of didn't want to stop, but I had to. And yeah, my Rusty Lake adventure continues. And there was one other game that I played this week, which was one of the games that I've got free from Amazon Prime, because I was looking at, there's like an Amazon app, which is where all your Amazon games live, and you can install them and launch them from there. And I've built up, much like free games on Epic, I've built up quite a library of free Amazon games that I've got through having Amazon Prime. And that's the long story behind all this is that's where I ended up playing Wallace and Gromit Grand Adventures, which I finished last week. And so after finishing them last week, I thought, I'll see what else I've got in the Amazon Prime app deal thing. And I found a little game called Look Inside, which seemed interesting. It's kind of it's a blend of, say, a hidden object, very light puzzling narrative story exploration game, something like that. Because essentially, I think it's a French indie game, and the whole idea is to, kind of like Rusty Lake Roots, it's based around a family tree, and the quote-unquote goals of the game is to discover what people look like and what their names are. So you get presented with a scene. So the first one you get is there's a scene of just a living room, and there's a lady sitting on a chair reading a book in a living room, and you can click on things to interact with them and do stuff and find out different bits of information. So for example, there's a map on the wall, which is a map of the world, but it's like one of those scratchy map of the worlds that you can scratch off each country that you've been to, kind of thing.
Ooh.
And so after you find some coins, you can use a coin to like scratch off certain countries, and that tells you about this person and where they've traveled and all that kind of thing, because travel is quite a theme in the story. And like, there's another thing where you open up like a scrapbook, and it's full of tickets to museums around the world, and it's like not a match 3, but like a memory game where you have to match similar art from each museum, and that gives you more information about that person, and there's just lots of stuff like that. And it gets a bit abstract as well. So there's this one bit where there's like the light in the room. If you click on it, like the light bulb falls out and smashes, and you find a shopping list which is like, I need to buy a new light bulb. And so there's a drawer which you can open, and there's like a squeezy bottle of paint, which if you click on it, it kind of squeezes it and puts this yellow blob on a piece of paper. And then you look at that piece of paper closer, and the yellow blob looks like a light bulb, and you can click on it, take it off, and put it in the lamp, and it works as a light bulb. So it's got that kind of abstract thinking and lateral thinking style to it as well, which is I like because it's a lot of fun. and it's quite challenging to think outside the box and think about putting things together, even down to little things like there's another puzzle which and this is all in the very first stream, so I don't feel like I'm giving away too much, but there's another puzzle which is a picture of some flowers, and then above it is a picture of like a coastline, I think. But you can grab a flower out of a flower pot and put it in the picture of flowers, and then click on the picture with the coastline, and it kind of tips, and water falls out of that picture into the other one and waters the flower, and the flower blooms, and then you've got a bloomed flower. So it's all that kind of like unrealistic but abstract kind of thinking and logic. And yeah, it's a very chill, cozy game, basically. It's not intense. It's not really asking much of you. It even says when you start playing the game, it's like, don't worry if you don't get everything, or, there's no one's keeping score kind of thing. Like, just enjoy exploring the whole game. And obviously you move on from the first scene into other ones, and you find out more about other people and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's like a very nice, wholesome, chill version of Rusty Lake. And
without all the weird stuff and going into people's bodies.
Yeah, there's nothing weird about this one at all, other than the like abstract stuff where you're, watering another picture with the picture. But anyway, it's not. There's no one dying yet anyway, so that's one thing.
Not yet, at least.
But it's very much, there's just some nice music playing as you play. You can just start clicking on things. There's lots of stuff that's interactable but doesn't necessarily do anything. It's just, you click on a little toy plane, and it flies around the room, and you're like, oh, cool. So yeah, it's a good time. I'm probably just going to play that whenever I feel like something really cushy and cruisy. But yeah, it's fun looking at the Prime games that I have acquired, because I just kind of log on to Prime games every now and then and just claim everything that's available. So I recommend anyone who's got Prime in any fashion, whether it's through Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime or whatever, you'll have some free games you can claim. So, and they're not shit. So some of them are actually quite good. And some of them are kind of weird and wonderful as well. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. But that's all I've been playing this week. It's been a bit of a light week so far, apart from my heavy experience and rough introduction to Stellaris. But yeah, that's me pretty much.
Then let's jump into our discussion topic. So, Christmas and holiday gaming. I was thinking, hey, we should probably do like something Christmassy for the Christmas episode, because this will release on the 24th, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is there aren't a lot of games that do Christmas, so we had to improvise a little bit and extend it to other holidays, and also not only like stuff that is Christmassy into the games, but do also like things like, hey, what do you play for Christmas with your family and friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know many games that are very Christmassy as a theme, like where you're playing Christmas stuff. Although, having said that, now that I think about it, I can think of a couple.
Ta-da!
Like there was something I really like about Saints Row is how silly they are, and they don't take themselves seriously. And they released a Christmas DLC where you have to save Christmas, but you're the Saints in Saints Row, so you're a bunch of gangsters who just know how to kill things. So you go around this wintry village basically just killing everything. and that's how you save Christmas. And it's very funny and enjoyable. So that's one thing.
Well, I had a look around my completed games on my backlog, and the one thing that is the most Christmassy thing I've seen video games related is Corvida's Wintertime Miracles, and that's like my ultimate Christmas tradition. Like when I'm feeling festive, I just play through it again and again. I usually do play the 3 Cold Realized games like back to back, so this is like the first time I'm just playing the one game. But I'm pretty happy because it has 5 lovely Christmas stories. And the thing is that I realized that a lot of the games that had Christmas as a main element around a main event during the story of the game are usually like RPG games or like Olga games. Like Stainskies does have, Stainskies has a Christmas event now that I think about it. And mainly either like wholesome games like Animal Crossing or that have like events based on real world events and timing. But also like also the things that I play that has a Christmas or something, or like a Christmas and or Valentine's thing. They have dating elements, or dating is the point of the game. And that comes from the fact that I play a lot of Japanese stuff. And in Japan, Christmas is pretty much Valentine's Day 2.0. And it
Really?
is usually considered like a couple's holiday.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, like they do have like Christmas for families and stuff like that. But once you get a partner, you're pretty much expected to spend Christmas with them.
Cool.
Also, and they have a weird thing for KFC on Christmas.
I do know that. Yeah.
I haven't discovered the reasoning behind that, but it seems like fried chicken is the ultimate Christmas dinner thing on Japan.
Well, it's interesting as well because like Christmas is obviously such a Western thing that seeing Asian countries take it up and make it their own in their own little way is actually really cool, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, like it also explains like why games made in Japan has like this version of Christmas.
Yeah.
KFC
Christmas.
KFC Christmas, yeah. While games made outside of Japan are like places where Christmas is like more of a family thing, have another outlook on the tradition. So yeah, in Color Realize Wintertime Miracles, you have the Christmas, special Christmas stories that are what if scenarios that take place after the familial bond route. And it's very much like the story that is a what if Cardia was like a normal girl when she finally realized she has these feelings for the guys. But anyway, I'm gonna name another gun that is Bastafellos. And this one, I don't remember it having Christmas. Maybe I'm misremembering because I have no idea when people in the United States eat turkey. Like, I don't remember if it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or both.
It's definitely Thanksgiving, but I think it might be both. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Bastafellos, which is another Otome game, but this one is placed on the city called New Siege, which is in totally New York, but in a fantastic setting. First of all, they have the newfound family trope that I love so fucking much. And the characters get up into shenanigans when they have to plan something together that isn't a haste. So for Halloween, depending on you are asking to cook the food, you can either get like a very homey Halloween dinner that is like more traditional, or if you ask the person who is in charge of the autopsies and has like a hand for art and stuff like that, you'll get really gruesome and puke-inducing artistry for your Halloween dinner. Even though the food may taste okay, the grotesque appearance of severe hands and stuff like that is a little bit too much. Though they do have like a Thanksgiving scenario too, and the preparation is just bonkers because no one in this group has really like celebrated Thanksgiving before, because since it seems to me that it's more of a family thing, since most of the people in this group of idiots are like loners. They don't really do Thanksgiving's preparations, so at one point they were like, "Hey, you should probably defrost that turkey. I don't know, 3 days in advance or something like that, because it is just a block of ice right now." And then they realize, "Hey, this turkey doesn't even fit on the microwave to defrost it. Maybe we could use like the not the washing machine, like but the dryer or something like that to defrost it." It's like, I'm surrounded by idiots. Um, so yeah, those are two of the many things that I've come up with. But take it away.
Yeah, I was just thinking myself, and I remembered a few Christmassy themed experiences other than Saints Row.
Mm.
And one of my favorites that I've played a number of times, and I'll probably play again, is there's a Viscera cleanup detail version, which is Santa's house and full, complete with blown up elf bodies and presents everywhere and dynamite. And Santa's basically gone on a rampage and killed everybody. And then you get to come in and clean it up. And it's just as gruesome as the other Viscera cleanup detail maps. But it's the one that I've played it multiple times because it's nice and contained and it's kind of fun and bizarrely Christmassy, and yeah, I enjoy that. I also remembered that Yakuza Kiwami is set at Christmas, and that's the one Yakuza game that I've actually finished. I plan on playing the rest, but I really enjoyed it. And there's even a part in it where you can dress up as Santa Claus and go beat up like a bunch of Santa Claus gang members, I think, who all dress as Santa Claus. And it's a bit wacky in that sense. But yeah, other than that, there was one thing that happened. I mean, I can't not mention Elf Bowling, which was a big hit in the 90s, where you were basically Santa Claus, and it was a 10-pin bowling game, but instead of pins, they were elves.
No.
And you, as Santa Claus, bowled the ball and knocked over as many elves as you could. And it was like one of those free kind of shareware games that everyone had a copy of and played. And they made it started off as like a 2D sprite-based kind of game, and then they eventually made like a 3D one. And yeah, it was quite popular for a while. It was like the thing. So I can't believe I forgot about that. But one thing I wish that I'd like to see more of actually was, I remember years ago, can't remember when it was exactly, but Steam did a thing where, obviously in conjunction with some developers, where there were special Christmas things added to games which wasn't already there. And if you played these games and basically did the Christmassy thing in the game, you unlocked, so I think it was either achievements or like a Steam badge or something if you did them all. So the ones I remember is there was one in Psychonauts where you had to basically, they just patched it in and then patched it back out again. But for Christmas time, you had to play through like the first couple of hours of the game. But then there was a quest which was basically something to do with Santa, like finding presents for him or something on the school grounds. And I remember in Renegade Ops, because I was playing it a lot at the time, which is the twin stick shooter vehicle combat game that I really like. And in that one, they added a Santa Claus as well. So while you're cruising around the map, shooting everything and doing your twin stick shooting, sometimes Santa Claus would just fly across the screen. And if you managed to shoot him down and kill him, it unlocked something from that as well. And it was just a really cool event because there was like a list of games that you could play where Santa or something Christmassy had been kind of entered after the fact. And these are games that didn't have this beforehand, but then did have it for this, Christmas celebration thing. And yeah, it was a really good idea and a really cool just event thing that happened. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now that you talk about it, other than Animal Crossing New Horizons that have like Toy Day, that is pretty much Christmas season. Terraria has seasonal things going on too. At the very least, I know the PC version and Switch version has, but I assume every version of Terraria gets updated with seasonal stuff. So for Christmas, there are like some, I guess, Christmas slimes that are like a slime with a little not Christmas, like present bow tied to it appear, and they just live the same as regular slimes, but they drop special materials that you can use to make things to customize your house or your game, I guess.
Yep.
And the fun thing is that you could either get like blocks of candy or pine wood and stuff like that, or you can get a piece of coal. And yeah,
it reminds me a lot of MMOs that I've played, because one thing MMOs do a lot of is like holiday related things in game, and they usually have. I know, like World of Warcraft does it. I remember Guild Wars does it. What's the other one I played? A lot of Terra that did it. Where it won't necessarily be like Christmas, but it will be Yuletide holiday or something.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to get a whole lot of like Christmas themed gear and stuff for that short period. And you can pick up like, yeah, basically stuff that's holiday themed. And they do like Valentine's Day stuff or Halloween stuff or, you know, different holidays. And yeah, you'd get like gear or loot or whatever that reflected that holiday. And then when the holiday's over, you can't get it anymore. And that stuff was always good because, especially with something like an MMO, where when you're kind of at the end game, you kind of need a reason to keep logging back on. So
Yeah.
if you can pick up some just fun gear or play some fun games for the holidays, that's always a good reason to get back on there.
Yeah, definitely. Jumping back into like some of the Otome stuff that I had like just laying out there. Hakuoki SSL or Setsuko Life, which is, by the way, more of a spin-off to mainline Hakuoki, which is like an Otome game based on I think either Meiji or Edo era of Japan, but you pretty much like get dragged into the Hakuoki, Shinsengumi shenanigans and stuff like that, and you pretty much like go through that particular part of Japanese history, as you follow the Shinsengumi characters. Hakuoki SSL takes place like in modern day Japan with pretty much it is an alternative universe where the characters from Hakuoki, Heroines, and Edo Blossoms are either high schoolers or teachers in this particular school where the protagonist like attends to. And there are like two main events that are three if you count New Year's, but that is like a short event. There's a Christmas party event where there's like I don't remember if it was a secret Santa or like just everyone put a gift under the tree. We mix them up and everyone gets something from there. I think it was that one. But the main event of the game that correlates with the ending, if you get like the good or bad ending after that, is the Valentine series of mini games. So because reasons you are the protagonist is the only girl on the school. In Valentine's, it's like the girl keeps the way she likes chocolate and stuff like that. She's been forbidden from bringing any kind of candy to school on that particular day. And the thing is that shenanigans happen. Like her friends do things. Their friends think it's like a very funny thing to just smuggle chocolate into her bag without her knowing. And when she's like at the gate and it's like, hey, you have that, you just make a run for it to whatever character that route corresponds to. And there's a series of 5 mini games that you have to beat in order to beat the game, pretty much.
Cool.
And you have to do them perfectly. And the thing is that since that game hasn't like come out in English, like officially, it has a fan translation. There's a couple of specific games, like one specific mini game that is the Vein of My Existence that has like a kanji in it. And I don't remember what you had to do with the kanji, but you had to do something with the kanji. And there were like 2 mini games like that.
Nice.
And it was horrible because I had to repeat that mini game so many fucking times to get to the Valentine's ending of the game. But still, like, they took Valentine's, twist the thing, and just made it like a hopefully fun experience for people who actually know kanji. So yeah, that's the thing with Hakuoki SSL. It just funkers because of the mini games. Be of Fear, Faded Memories, you actually have like kind of like a Christmas ending. So the grand finale has kind of like a Christmassy ending at the end of the game, mainly because of how Liana lives at the church, and well, Christmas is a religious related holiday.
Yep.
That's the name of holiday. So of course it is very important for the once things have settled down and Christmas arrives, like you have this cute little scene with everyone taking part of Christmas. And the last example I want to bring in, this is, well, they have Christmas events, which are Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5, where you usually just get together either with the group of friends or like with your significant other and just celebrate Christmas that way. But the more funny or sad, depending on which game you're looking at, event is the Valentine's event. So in theory, like in Persona 3, I think if the girl you're like dating sees that you're like going out with another girl, like she gets mad and you can actually like lose points with a given girl. In Persona 4, you don't have that penalty, but if you are as in Persona 4, anime Nanako described him a man whore.
Nice.
And date like a lot of girls. You get a very, very sad Valentine's where a lot of girls think you're spending the time with another, and then you're like just spending with your friends, and then go to home to find Nanako wanting to give you chocolate, which is made with the guidance of all the other girls who say, for one in particular, they're horrible at cooking. So you kind of like get divine punishment for being a cheater. And then Persona's 5, it's my personal favorite because, in particular, I dislike with all my might the protagonist of Persona 5.
Okay.
Besides him being a piece of bread and overall like a horrible person when he gets a chance to talk. And I think I'm gonna get shit for this, but some of the things you do in the Persona 5 game are questionable, both morally and legally.
Doesn't sound good.
Yeah, like this is the Persona game that I dislike, and I kind of like want to go through Persona 5 Royale because a specific character and some more story that was added to the game. But that's a story for another day. The thing is that if you romance more than one girl on Valentine's, and if you manage to romance everyone on Valentine, and spend Valentine's with either one of the girls that like just Ryoji, I think. The other girls will catch on and think you're cheating on you're cheating on them, and they just appear out of nowhere at the place you're staying at and beat the shit out of. I don't remember if it was Ren or another name. They beat the shit out of the main character because, well, he deserves it for getting himself in this situation. And I found that to be the most cathartic thing. Nice. Because I would have done it myself if I had the chance.
Awesome.
Sorry. Like, I've gone at length of why I'm not very appreciative of Persona 5, but in particular, I really like that scene. Because he deserved it.
Yeah.
Well, like he deserved it. Yeah. The only good being in this game is Yusuke, and mainly Morgana, as long as he doesn't tell you to go to sleep. But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, take it away.
Well, I mean, the other thing, while I haven't necessarily got a huge repertoire of actual Christmas games or anything, or like I know of a few and all that kind of stuff, but there are holiday traditions, I think, that are part of my life. Like you say, how you like to play Code Realize over Christmas sometimes. I've got a few that I that I associate with Christmas holidays because that's when I've played them the most. And one of them in particular is Buzz Quiz World, which is a PS3 game. It's a trivia game that comes with some like quiz buzzer peripherals. I'm going to post a picture.
That's the one you talked about the other day.
Yeah, we were talking about it the other day. For listeners, you can hear about that a bit later on. But
oh shit, sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
I just stated that episode.
But yeah, it's a good game to play with my family because you each get this controller, which is basically, for anyone who doesn't know, it's got a big red button on it, which is what you use to buzz in, and then it's got 4 other buttons that are all different colors that you use to choose your answer, or what you need to. You can give your feedback and that kind of thing. So you don't have to hold a controller. You don't have to be a gamer or anything. You can just grab this very obvious buzzer and use it to play the game. And the game is set up like it's a trivia TV show. So there's a host, and each player is a player on the show. So the host will ask a question. There's a bunch of different rounds of different types of questions. Like sometimes you've got to be the fastest one. Sometimes you want to kind of time it so that you screw around. Sometimes you want to time it so that you screw over your fellow contestants. Other times it's multiple choice. Sometimes it's you have to know the answer. It's, a variety trivia game show. And it's something that my family and I have played a bit over Christmas when we're all kind of done with actual Christmas Day. We might just sit down and play some trivia because it's fun. And this sort of thing is very accessible because of the buzzer controller, rather than having to play with the D-pad or, figure out analog sticks and face buttons and all that kind of stuff. So that's something that is very Christmassy to me, even though it's got nothing to do with Christmas technically. And more lately, we haven't been playing so much Buzz Quiz World because that's on PS3. But there's another trivia game called Knowledge is Power on PS4, and I think it's on PS5. But it is another trivia game but this time you use your phone instead as the controller. So again, it's quite accessible for people who aren't necessarily into games. And yeah, it's just fun to play a trivia game and kind of have a laugh and have a go at each other for when you muck it up and, get a little bit competitive. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was for a good while, like a good number of years, some friends and I used to have LAN parties around Christmas and New Year because we'd all be off work for the time or studying or whatever we were doing. So usually on about the 27th, so a couple of days after Christmas, we'd rock around to my friend's house and bring our computers and some tables and, a whole bunch of gear. And we'd set up for at least a couple of days, if not a little bit more if we felt like it. And yeah, have a LAN party of usually about 6 to 10 people, depending on how many of us rocked up. And people come and go as well. Like someone might rock up just for the day and then leave, and others would try and stay up all night just playing games. And it's really fun because I much prefer that to online multiplayer because you're still a bit disconnected with online. It's like online's fun, but there's nothing like couch co-op or couch multiplayer or at a LAN party where you're sitting right next to the person who just killed you so you can turn around and have a go at them kind of thing. or you can mess with their keyboard or something and they have to try and fix it before you kill them.
Or when you're playing something with split screen and you can screen cheat a little bit.
Yeah. And this came from especially when before internet speeds were better, I suppose, because obviously a LAN party you've got virtually no lag because you're all in the same location, and you can have more people because we'd have like a big switcher in the middle of the room that we'd all just kind of plug into, and we're all computer nerds anyway, so we like that kind of thing. But we started doing it from when dial-up was a thing, and I used to play some multiplayer games on dial-up with friends, but it was obviously very limited, and LAN parties were way easier and just better experience all round. To the point we pretty much played the same games every time. So even when it got into like the 2000s and the 20-teens, when last time we played, I think it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, we had a LAN party. And even then we were still playing old games from the 90s just because that's what we like to play. So There are certain games which always remind me of that, such as Half-Life multiplayer, especially the map Crossfire, which is a deathmatch map, but on it there's like there's a bunker, and if you get to the bunker first, you can push a button that basically does an airstrike on the entire map and kills everyone else. So that was always a fun one. My favorite multiplayer game of all time is DEF CON, and we used to play that a lot. And if anyone's seen the movie War Games, it's basically based on that. And you have a kind of wireframe map of the world, and you have a region of the world, like a continent essentially. And you start off the game planting down missile silos and satellite locations, and then your navy, because you have ships and stuff, but then you also have bombers and things. And it's kind of like a Cold War simulator. So the whole idea of the game is to bomb the shit out of your enemies and nuke everybody. And to the point, if you manage to nuke a city, it'll tell you how many millions of people you killed. And but it's all it's just this map the whole time. It's very wireframe, lo-fi kind of graphics, but it's also very effective. And so there's a real balance between when you fire your nukes versus when you defend, because you can't do both at the same time. So nukes as well take a while to travel because they're intercontinental ballistic missiles. So they might take a good few minutes just to get around the world and actually land where you've targeted. So usually the person who wins is the person who can kind of hold out the longest, because if you can keep defending, you can shoot down nukes before they hit you, but then you've still got your nukes. And and then by the time everyone's fired theirs, you're like, all right, now it's my turn. And you just bombard everyone with all your nukes. And meanwhile, you're having like ship battles and stuff, and submarines can fire nukes, and you've got bombers that can drop nukes. And yeah, it's just, I've never played a game like it, and it's really, really cool. It's like it can be quite slow because it's very tactical and things take time. And so it's kind of like a very, very strategic RTS about nuking the entire world, like World War III kind of Cold War stuff. So it's good fun. And then the other games we used to play were things like Colin McRae Rally 2, which is just an old racing game. And there's a very offensive game called Viet Cong, which is a Vietnam War game where you play as Americans and you kill a lot of Vietnamese people. So, and you're quite happy about it is the thing. So that's what I mean by it's actually quite offensive, because there's lots of slurs and things in that game. But aside from that, that's the single player campaign. The multiplayer is actually really good because it's deathmatch stuff, but there's like really tight maps and the weapons are interesting, and it's really good for it's at the time, not anymore, but at the time it had really good like foliage and stuff, so you could like hide in bushes and things, and other games you couldn't really do that at the time. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's one we've had a lot of fun with. And the last one that we used to play a lot of that I can remember anyway was Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2, which is a straight up RTS, except it's obviously Lord of the Rings themed, so you can pick your faction, and it's, you might be the elves, maybe, you might be maybe your hobbits, maybe your orcs, but whatever you are, you build up your base and attack everyone else, and someone wins. But the cool thing about this game is that Gollum is on the map somewhere, and Gollum is carrying around the ring, and if you happen to find Gollum and kill Gollum and take the ring, then you can take the ring back to your home base and you get like a super powered commander kind of thing. So if you're one of the Mordor kind of factions, you can get Sauron and wreck people with him. If you're like a good guy faction, you might get someone like Gandalf, who's like super powered and can do heaps of stuff. And yeah, just good fun game, because it's always a big race to find Gollum. And sometimes it's as easy as he'll walk right through your base and you'll be like, oh, there he is, bump.
Anyway, it's kind of like getting the snitch on the I forget the name of the game, but in Harry Potter.
Yeah, in
Quidditch.
Yeah, that's the one. Kind of like that, except it doesn't just win the whole game. Like, you get a huge advantage, but because you're obviously playing with your friends, so let's say you've got 6 people playing, one person gets the huge advantage, so of course everyone else teams up against them.
Of course.
And then once they're dead, someone else has grabbed the ring, so they've got the advantage, so everyone else teams up against them, and it kind of goes through until you've only got a couple of people left. So yeah, but that's like, having LAN parties and just hanging out with my nerdy friends playing games is something I kind of miss, actually, from that kind of period between Christmas and New Year, where at least here most people are off work and not really doing much. Like, they just kind of hang out and catch up with friends and that kind of thing. So it's a good time to do that sort of thing. But as is always the case, life kind of goes on, and you can't really give up 3 straight days anymore and not sleep very much and just play games with your friends and stink up the place. So, we don't really do it anymore, unfortunately. But maybe one day.
In my case, maybe one day. In my case, it's something that I don't remember if I did something like that, like when I was little. Like, I do remember, like, when I was little, like, obviously I believe in Santa Claus and stuff like that. So my parents would distract me, or like my siblings would distract me before midnight. So they could, the tradition here at the Redis, my family, is that at midnight it's time to open presents.
Oh, okay.
And instead of like waiting to the next day or something like that.
Yeah.
And the fun thing is that you have to pretend that Santa Claus arrived at the door to make a thing more magical. So it's usually like the adults teaming up to distract the kids and make the presents magically appear at some part of the house.
That's cool.
For me, it was mainly like at the main door. But the thing is that I've since grown up, and since I got a nephew when I was 15, I guess, or 16 or something like that, I've been the one like taking that responsibility. So, for example, for Easter, when we get together, like I try to make it so my my nephew and his family go to my parents' house like every other year for a specific holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And to his other grandmother's house on the other half of the holidays. So I try to make it so every other year that I go to my parents' house for Easter or Christmas or whatever, I try to make it so it's the same year that my nephew is going, because he likes to play with me, and I get to hide like chocolate eggs and candy like for Easter and things like that, which is kind of fun because like one year my boyfriend and I hid like most of the stuff, and we were like quietly laughing, like quietly chuckling, watching my nephew like find the candy and stuff like that. And then we went to the room, and my mother have somehow sneak in and like hid a bunch of chocolate in the room.
Nice.
So it was like, well, we have a lot to learn. We're just nothing but young Padawans here. My mom is a real expert. But for example, for Christmas, everything I got the Switch, and prior to that was the Wii U. I've been the one to entertain my nephew, so sometimes we'd go like with my nephew and my older siblings and play Mario Kart or Super Smash Bros. Wii U or Ultimate, whatever the situation is. So I'm pretty much the one either in charge of distracting him long enough so he forgets about the rest of the people being in the room and they can hide the presents. Which, by the way, the presents have been hidden in the front door or in the balcony in the case where when we spend time at my brother's apartment for Christmas. Or the staircase, which was I think was last year, where when he was like, I don't believe in Santa Claus anymore. I know they're my parents, but I'm like keeping up the appearance that I know that I think is Santa Claus, so I get more gifts. So So the funny thing is that he got his gift like at the door, I think, but I managed to sneak past him and put one on the staircase. So he actually like doubted himself if it was like Santa Claus Rio or anything like that.
Nice.
So yeah, like usually we play Mario Kart, which is one of his favorite games, and also like the one he does the best at. So we kind of like win more or less like half and half each time. And if nobody else wants to play, then that opens the floodgates for us to play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in the recent years. So those are the games that I usually kind of like. They are like Christmas games in my mind because they are party games that I can play with my family.
Yeah.
So I think one Christmas we did like Wii Sports, and that in that case my mom got to play too. But we haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
So yep.
I think that's where like Buzz is a great game for my family because then my mum can play as well. And
yeah,
you know, nothing. My mum's a very intelligent person, but she just doesn't play games. So so she doesn't really get into that sort of thing. But she has a good fun playing trivia with us all. So yeah.
Yeah, my mom really likes to play dominoes. So my sister got her like this very big domino set where instead of just going up to 6, it goes up to 12. So more people can join in, and we can all play together.
Interesting.
So yeah, and when there's like a smaller group of people playing, we actually got a couple of tabletop games that are more like little card games, like Exploding Kittens, or one that's a Chilean game that's called Donde las papas queman, where you have to collect like a set amount of golden potatoes, but you have to use like other potato cards to fuck around with the other players so you can steal their potatoes.
Cool.
And avoid them getting the amount of potatoes. So it's kind of like those kind of games where friendships are broken to a certain degree.
Yeah, gotta love those games.
So yeah, even if we don't get to play video games often for Christmas, when we do get to play them, it's a very special time of the year.
Yeah. So, well, and I think obviously we're not really getting into tabletop games, but that's something we could talk about another time maybe. But
yeah.
Yeah, we always basically in the afternoon for us on Christmas Day, because it's just my immediate family. We don't have a very big kind of thing. We do end up playing some sort of game, and yeah, if it's not a video game, it's usually a board game. So it's just a nice way to hang out and have some fun. So yeah. Well, guess what, Paula? Now is the time. I'm going to quiz you. I'm going to see if you can once again gain some points ahead.
I really need at least 2 points to recommend the game that I really want to recommend. So I'm going to do my best here.
See, now you're playing for hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this week I have a pretty popular game for you.
Okay.
Which makes me nervous because you might just get it straight away. But I will find a comment.
I should be like, watch it like so badly. And people scream at me at the comments or something like that.
There's lots of comments that I could choose from. It's just
difficult to pick the one that's not gonna give it away. I know.
Some of them
I've been there before.
Some of them are obviously obvious. Others not so much. Okay. Hang it all. This might give it away, but we'll see. I'm not going to give you times yet. I'm just going to give you the comments straight up.
Okay.
So, obviously, this is the main story run, though. And the comment says, completed game. 8 worlds complete, 4 game overs.
8 worlds complete, 4 game overs.
That is correct.
Is it Super Mario Bros?
No.
Okay, let me think what has 8 worlds. So, wait, I haven't completed a Yoshi game. So, it cannot be Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah, you have completed this game. I can confirm that.
Yeah. 8 worlds complete. And what was the rest of the comment?
It was completed game, 8 worlds complete, 4 game overs.
4 game overs. So it has either like a live system, which makes me think it's a Mario or Super Mario game.
I'm not saying
did I play
nothing.
Super Mario Bros. 3?
No.
Wait, no, that has 6 worlds, I think. So it's not the one.
I will tell
8
you,
worlds complete.
this game has 1,500 completions on HLTB.
Oh crap.
So it's enough, but it's not, excessive either.
Oh, is it a Kirby game?
Could be.
Kirby String World.
No.
Kirby String World 2.
No, it's not a Kirby's Dream World game.
What was the name of the other Kirby game I played? It is for the SNES. What was the name of this fucker? Oh my god. Let me think a little bit, because I know for a fact that I haven't completed like the other Kirby games, and also it has to be the SNES one if it's a Kirby game.
Interestingly, this game is on many platforms.
Oh shit! So it isn't a Kirby then.
Many Nintendo platforms.
Oh, it might be then, because Virtual Console is a thing.
Yes, so yeah, to be fair on that, not to mislead you too much, it's got 2 official platforms on HLTB, but it's got a whole heap of different platforms on completions.
Okay.
Pretty much all of them.
Is it pretty much all of them? Is it a NES game then? Wait, does that one has worlds or just levels? I think that one has just levels. Oh my fucking god, which one is it? No, Triple doesn't have worlds and it is an ulterior, so it has to be a Nintendo IP. I'm trying to bring the name of the games I know from Nintendo history into existence, because fuck me if I remember all of them. Okay. Have I finished a Yoshi game? No, I haven't finished a Yoshi game. I know I finished Kirby games, but can they be considered worlds? It's like a set of doors, so I'm not sure. Is it like the Mario 2 game with the turnips and stuff like that?
Nope, it is not.
And I haven't played those levels, so it can't be that. And I haven't completed Super Mario World or Brothers World. I can't remember for the fact of the name of it. And you said there's 2 platforms, so it can't be Super Mario Odyssey, because that one is in one platform. Well,
there's 2, like, you know how HLTB lists kind of like official kind of platforms that it's been released on. So there's 2 of those, but like I say, there's pretty much every other one that people have listed as having played it on.
Yeah.
Just about every other one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh,
You're
is
close,
it?
But I think you might need another one.
No. Let me think, because I think I know the game, but I can't remember the name of the game. Okay, give me the second clue.
Okie dokie. I'm tossing up between 2 different clues.
So I'm trying to remember, like, frantically, just in case I get the 3 points before you pick your clue.
I've got it.
Oh no! Oh shit!
This is a main plus.
Okay.
I can tell you it's about the same length as the main one. It's about the main time was 3.5 hours. This is just over 4. And the comment is 2 of 3 switches found, and boss rush mode beat.
Boss rush mode and switches found.
I will
So the
elaborate on
switch is
that
kind of
where
like
there are other comments referring to hidden switches that you need to find.
yeah, that tells me it's probably a Mario game because that's the one I think about when there's hidden switches and shit like that.
It is not a Mario game.
Yeah, and I suspected as much because of the simple fact that I haven't played. I mean, I played and retired the Mario game on SNES that has the switches.
You were very close before.
Huh?
Well, you were very close earlier, but not close enough.
Yeah. I said Kirby's Dream Land. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kirby. Oh my God, what was the name of it?
The official platforms are NES and Nintendo 3DS.
So it's on Virtual Console.
I would imagine so, but I'm not really familiar with Nintendo that well. So.
Yeah, if it's on, you said 3DS, not new 3DS.
No, just 3DS.
Okay, so it can't be. I think it cannot be a TVA game if I remember correctly. Oh, you say it's an NES game. I'm stupid.
So most of the completion notes either say, the vast majority of them say NES, but then there's also Wii U, Nintendo Switch, 3DS, Wii. That's about it that I can see now.
Okay, so I probably played it on 3DS then, or emulator.
Emulated is in there as well.
Yeah. What was the name of the fucking game? And I know it's probably that Kirby game. No, I haven't played the Rainbow stuff. I haven't played. Oh my God. I have it like this close, but I don't remember the name of it.
Interestingly, it's in IGN's top 100 NES games of all time, which is told to me by a collection that exists on HLTB.
Okay, it's not Kirby's Dream Land, but it has to be that Kirby game. Like, I feel like I'm so close, but I can't remember the name of it.
You are very close.
This is stupid.
So close. Came out in 1993.
Kirby's. No, it's not World. It's Kirby's. Oh my God.
What's Kirby doing?
If I remember, like, I know in the GBA games, like Kirby, didn't transform. In this game in particular, Kirby transforms. First of all, he gains the ability to transform when he hits an enemy. I think it's the one with the sword.
Can't help you there, unfortunately.
So I do remember the game having like a series of doors, but I don't remember if that is in line with some of the older Kirby games. I know that in Kirby's Dream Land 2, he's able to ride on animals like a hamster or gerbil. I don't know what the fuck it was. But in this one, I think that wasn't the option.
Okay, I might have steered you wrong there. It's not so much about abilities, but the nature of the game.
The nature of the game. What's that supposed to mean?
I should probably stop giving you clues. I'm probably ruining it for you.
I swear, if it's like called like some Kirby's Dream World instead of Dreamland, I'm gonna cry.
No, I would have given you that if that was the case.
Okay.
And the one you're thinking of is Dreamland, but it's not that one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. It's. What was the name of it? Oh my God. I think this is where the knight. What was the name of the knight? Meta Knight? Made an appearance?
It's me.
Oh my God. This would mean nothing, but I remember fighting some kind of eldritch thing in space.
If you want another clue, I'll give you the actual blurb for the game, because the 100% completion notes are like basically just 100% completion.
Yeah, let me think a little bit more.
Just to, planting seeds.
Kirby. Okay, I do need the third clue because I know it is. I know what it is. I have it in my mind, but I don't know the name of it.
So most of the 100% completion clues are just, I completed everything. So they're not very helpful. Or like, 100% on normal or whatever. So instead I'll give you the blurb of the game and I'll just remove the actual title when it comes up. So everybody's favorite pink ball of love makes his way to the nest in game title. It seems that Dreamland has a problem. The dream spring, the source of all dreams, has dried up. Now everyone is subjected to their worst nightmares every time they go to sleep. It's up to you to help Kirby restore nice dreams to the citizens of Dreamland.
It is the one it is the one I'm thinking about. Oh my god, I hate this. I hate this so much.
Using 20 unique tricks and your ability to steal your enemies' powers by eating them, you'll have to make your way through a horrific land filled with all kinds of nightmares. If you're successful, everyone in Dreamland will sleep peacefully once again. But if you fail, the citizens of Dreamland will be subjected to a lifetime of terrible nightmares.
It is not like Return to Dreamland or something like that, is it?
Nope. There's no Dreamland in the title at all.
Okay. So, it has to do with the nightmares because I remember they were like in eternal sleep. And it is the one with the Eldritch Abomination at the end.
Sounds like it could be, yeah.
Kirby.
This looks like it's the second Kirby game in the entire series.
Yeah. It is the second one.
I mean, at this point, it's the second one. I'm almost willing to give it to you.
I know it's the second one. I know the game. I know what it is about. I can't remember the fucking title. Oh my god.
You could say Kirby's going on an...
adventure.
Yeah.
Is it like Kirby's Adventure or something like that?
It is. It's Kirby's Adventure.
I'm gonna fuck... Oh, I forgot the subtitle of it was Adventure. Like, I couldn't remember it for the fuck of me.
I feel bad about that one.
It's okay. That's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, you were so close, and yeah, I could tell it's just that, yeah, you knew what it was, just not what it was called.
Yeah.
But this has been played on many emulated platforms, and I think you had listed it just as emulated. So
yeah, I actually played it. I started playing the Kirby series when I had like another PC. Like I had like a HP Pavilion 14 something laptop that was red and pretty and was good enough for gaming, but that thing died mysteriously after the blue screen of death. And I got stuck with the computer that I had previous to that, which I like to call the toaster, because the thing like barely ran any games at all. So I ended up playing a lot of emulated stuff. Of course, I played all three of Kirby's Dreamland, and of course Kirby's Adventure. In order of release, I think. But I forgot the name of the game, for fuck's sake. Still, it was a very, very good time.
Oops.
Hey, you're putting the point in the wrong.
I know, I updated the wrong score. I don't want your single point.
Okay, so yeah, I love Kirby. Like I've only played like the oldest games. And I kind of like remember it had a boss rush, and I do remember having a lot of trouble with the cloud enemy that had like an eye and had like range attacks and stuff like that, and I hated it so fucking much. To the point I just went and put a save state on that boss in particular. And it took me a while to actually beat it. But it was like, for me, it was the hardest boss in the game. I still remember it quite vividly.
Just not the name.
Just not the fucking name.
Well, folks, I think that brings us to the end of this Christmassy episode.
I have to pick again for you next time.
Yeah.
So I can fuck up your score. Sorry.
Honestly, I thought I saw, because I just randomize it like I'm sure you do as well. But
Yeah.
I saw Kirby and thought, oh, you're probably going to know this, but oh well, let's do it anyway. So you can never tell.
Yeah.
I'd hate anyone to think that I was gaming it to make it harder, but honestly, I have no idea if it's going to be hard or easy for you. So I thought this would be really easy.
It's funny because it is when we're trying to make it harder for each other, and we actually guess the game like a first try or something like that, and we don't think about it. It's just like impossible challenge.
Exactly. But yeah, I hope everyone listening to this has some fun holidays and enjoys having maybe some time off, maybe just a little relax, maybe seeing some family, maybe not. Either way.
Maybe just play some games or watch anime or watch movies. Whatever you do on Christmas when you are not spending time with your family.
And, you know, if there's anything else you celebrate as well, like, go do that. Because it probably means different things for lots of different people. So we'll be back with a New Year's episode as well next time.
We hope you like it.
Yeah. Not sure what we're going to do for that. It'll probably be pretty boring, so don't worry about it too much. But
yeah, like who knows? You'll probably not be interested in it. You'll probably have better things to do, like getting drunk or something like that. But anyway,
we'll figure something out.
See you. We'll figure something out. See you all on the next one. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening.
It was the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that the podcast would soon would be there.